Hello luxury watch lovers! In this channel, I cover the background, fundamental design features, and things to consider before buying your watch. If you have a luxury watch that you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. In today's video, we're going to cover the Patek Philippe at its best and take a closer look at the Patek Philippe reference 57111A014 Nautilus. Patek Philippe is the most well-known and probably revered name in the world of horology watchmakers. With their sports pieces such as the Nautilus and Aquanaut garnering a lot of attention recently, it has enabled them to move beyond the realm of high-end luxury watchmaking and into the realm of mainstream culture. Patek Philippe is a prominent luxury watch brand recognized for making high-end and high-complication dress watches. It is often regarded as the most prestigious luxury watch brand in the world. In reality, a Patek Philippe is the world's second most intricate timepiece, trailing only the Vacheron Constantin reference 57260. These super complicated pocket timepieces, on the other hand, are pocket watches. What about wristwatches, for example? They are, after all, the true inventors of the wristwatch. The average layperson is unlikely to appreciate or identify this Swiss luxury brand as much as, say, a Rolex. But let's just say that the Patek Philippe watch is known as the rich man's Rolex in terms of universal brand recognition. They are well respected and precise, and their design is both trendy and ageless. The Patek Philippe watch is a subtle luxury item for those who can afford it, but don't want their wrists to be covered in bling. Many collectors prefer to invest in Patek Philippe timepieces, particularly older pieces, since they have the greatest potential for appreciation. At auctions, some have fetched 100 times their original purchase costs. As their tagline goes, you never truly own a Patek Philippe watch. You only look after it for the next generation. This is a slogan that has been tried and true by Liga Stellani, the advertising agency that created it. Collectors told the agency that one of the main reasons they acquired a Patek Philippe watch was to leave something wonderful for their children one day. The reason they haven't changed the iconic tagline since the 1990s is that it is still relevant and properly reflects the watches, the company, and its customers. What is the price of Patek Philippe's most costly timepiece? Rolex watches can cost up to $115,000, while Patek Philippe timepieces can cost anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000. When the Henry Graves super complications from Patek Philippe was sold, they hit a new high water record. It was sold for $24.4 million at Sotheby's in Switzerland, making it the most expensive wristwatch ever sold to date. The most expensive wristwatch ever sold was a Patek Philippe 18-karat gold wristwatch, which sold for $5.7 million at Christie's. Interestingly, in addition to their actual increased brand value, some of Rolex's most expensive watches acquire much of their worth from the aesthetic materials used to embellish the watch, such as platinum, diamonds, and jewels. Many of the more costly Patek Philippe watches, which sell for a fortune, are manufactured with simple materials like stainless steel, which will surprise you. Their true worth is usually discovered behind the hood, where there are a staggering number of complexities. Otherwise, even if a Patek Philippe isn't overly sophisticated and only has an hour and minute hands and a date window on the dial, the watch's rarity might drive up its price. So how long does a Patek Philippe watch take to make? This is where the real money lies for collectors and investors. Consider a firm like Rolex, which produces over 700,000 watches per year, versus Patek Philippe, which only makes 53,000 watches per year, according to a Philadelphia magazine interview with its president, Thierry Stern. This isn't to suggest they won't be able to create more. More beyond that, according to Stern, would compromise the quality and precision of the movements. Above all else, they place a premium on quality, precision, and customer service. A simple Patek Philippe movement, like the one seen in their Calatrava watches, takes roughly 4 years to make. A sophisticated movement, such as the 240HU in the Patek Philippe Complications World Time, or the 240Q in the Patek Philippe Grand Complications Perpetual Calendar, can take up to 6 years to complete. Furthermore, a sophisticated watch can take up to 8 years to complete. Patek Philippe only introduces 20 to 30 new models per year, with a total collection of just over 200 pieces. Affluent folks who don't feel the need to be flamboyant are their target market. Their humility is part of their appeal, as it helps them to fit in while also standing out when other knowledgeable watch aficionado notices what's on their wrist. So, while Rolex's emblem features a crown, Patek Philippe's logo features the Calatrava cross, and Patek Philippe will continue to hold the actual crown in fine horology and craftsmanship. Let's take a closer look at the Patek Philippe reference 57111-1A014 Nautilus. The latest version of the must-have sports watch, desired by legions of horophiles, is the Nautilus. The new olive green dial edition of this renowned watch is examined by Mark MacArthur Christie. Patek has had plenty of room to grow with the Nautilus, which now comes in 25 different variations. You can get one in stainless steel, rose gold, white gold, or two-tone gold, and it comes with a strap or a bracelet. But in an industry where novelties are treasured, it speaks a lot about Genta's original concept that the main design was only slightly reworked in 2006, 30 years after the watch was debuted. Patek announced the stainless Nautilus would be discontinued, and with it, the rocket launch trajectory of second-hand pricing. Zooming in on a few of its design features, it has a case size of 40mm and a thickness of 8mm. Its caliber 26330 SC self-winding movement allows up to 45 hours of power reserve. Its stunning green dial is complemented by its sapphire crystal, which is water resistant up to 120 meters. And prepare your wallet, as you can expect to pay about $28,949 for this watch. The 5711's production design is strikingly similar to Genta's original restaurant napkin sketch, and can best be described as deceptively basic. But there are so many small things that can make it come together. Starting with number 1, the bezel, which at first glance appears to be shaped like a porthole, actually contains 8 modest but distinct facets that reflect light and reduce the weight of what would otherwise be a slab of steel. The inside edge has the same facets, which lightens it even further. The visual balancing weight on the left side of the casing, opposing the crown guard, balances everything out and makes it work. Then there's the way the crown guard slides down, bringing it closer to your wrist aesthetically. Those bezel lines also flow into the bracelet, reducing its overall weight. Moving on to number 2, the mix of polishing and satin finishing. Replace the bezel face with a polished one and you're back in slab town. The polished edge distinguishes the bezel from the case and bracelet, lifting and lightening it. Before it's finished, it goes through 55 separate hand finishing procedures. Overall, the watch is a demonstration of how simple and easy are not the same thing. And on to number 3, the dial surface. That may not appear to be a significant issue, but it is. Patek doesn't tinker with dial colors just for the sake of it. The blue-black graduated dial was the first of the new watches released after the 2006 30th anniversary, followed by a silver-white display in 2012 and a brown to black graduated tint on the rose gold edition in 2015. And Patek describes its new reference 57111A014 as olive green. It would have been fascinating to learn how the Patek team arrived at this color. A change like this generally necessitates a series of meetings in huge organizations. But was the initial color recommendation so spot on that everyone just went with it? In any case, it's a good match for its buddy Nautilus. Like the rest of the watch, it's elevated by a simple visual device. Horizontal ridges that enable light to play across it, generating dark and shadow areas that alter as your wrist moves. And like the watch itself, that olive green is likely to function in a variety of settings. And finally, number 4, the case and movement. The caliber 26330 SC movement that has been powering the watch since 2019 is known as Nautilus. It's a bit of a pleasure to look through the display back and simply watch it do its thing. At 212 components, it has 5 fewer parts but 1 more jewel. Although the movement can handle a day or week number complication, it's unnecessary on the Nautilus dial, which only has a date. In the winding system, there's a single center rotor with some extremely smart watchmaking, and hacking is also a part of the movement. It's also a really useful watch, as well as a great example of Genta's design. Despite the display back, the stainless steel case can easily be submerged to a depth of 120 meters. Given that recreational divers rarely go deeper than 40 meters, this should not be a problem for anyone who isn't named Cousteau. And this wraps up my review of the Patek Philippe reference 57111A014 Nautilus. Thank you for watching this video right through to the very end. These videos do take a long time to make, but are truly a labor of love. If you enjoy this type of content, let me know in the comments below what other watches you think deserve their own video. And remember, time is your greatest asset.